I'm the Big Rig Kids, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go. Here come the Big Rig Kids. Roll with the Big Rig Kids. Let's have fire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the Big Rig Kids. Those hopeful Big Rig.
Welcome, Facebook Live. Today we're here with Grandma Polly once again, interviewing some very special guests who've moved mountains and come through things that you just couldn't even imagine. So here she is, Grandma Polly, that you are all here to see.
And welcome to Grandma Conversations with Grandma Polly. Today we're going to be highlighting Maria from the Big Rig Kid book series. And I have two special guests, Miss Nilda, Mr. Eddie, and Miss Shaquille. Maria was created with a purpose. I'm going to let these guys say hello to themselves, and then I'm going to tell you guys about you. Nilda?
Yes, ma'am. I'm right here. How are you doing?
I'm well. You want to introduce yourself, and then I'll come back and tell them about Maria and the purpose, and then Mr. Eddie and Mr. Parrot can introduce themselves after you.
Yes, my name is Nilda Navedo. I am a Hispanic female with sickle cell anemia, and I relate to your character, Maria, of the Big Rig Kids, as we both battle the same illness and have similar personalities. So thank you for inviting me to your show.
All right.
Hi, we are the Love. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Perfect. My name is Eddie Love, and this is my wife. And we are parents to Kylan Love, and Kylan is our representation of Maria. Our daughter has sickle C, and she is just as feisty and intelligent as Maria. So that's our connection to sickle cell. We're happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you guys and welcome. And I want to tell you guys a little bit about Maria and why I chose her to have sickle cell. We all know in the book there are 5 characters, but Maria is very special to me. I never knew anyone with sickle cell personally until I started developing these characters. And I wanted to give Maria limited disabilities. I also wanted to create her with sickle cell to bring awareness to sickle cell and how prevalent it is in our communities. Maria has those limited abilities, but oh my God, she's feisty. She has that will to go. Nothing stops her. And the other reason of her being Hispanic with sickle cell is because there's a segmentation out there that only Black people have sickle cell. That's what I always thought. Until I started doing some research and started reaching people. And Nilda has been a huge teacher to me in educating me about sickle cell. And then I met Mr. Eddie and Mr. Para Love. And like they said, with their daughter having sickle cell, we have participated in blood drives. We've participated in sickle cell walks. And I have a group of children that I worked with. And when they started meeting these kids with sickle cell, they wanted to know more about it because you just can't look at someone and see that they have this disease because they look normal, which they are normal. They just have some battles that they have. And this evening, Miss Nilda, Mr. Eddie, and Miss Shapira, they're going to give us some of their experiences of having to battle this disease. You want to tell us a little bit, Nilda? Tell us one of your stories.
Yes, and I will. And today is a perfect example because anyone that would probably see me at this moment might say, she looks
Mm.
good, she looks great. I'm glad she's in no pain. And I literally all day have spent, I've had a trying 2 weeks since I received the vaccination. And although it is something that I would highly recommend for all, when you have your body react, sickle cell attacks, and although I know that I am being protected because of what we're going through in this pandemic, I had a reaction and I am currently dealing with a bone crisis, which it's, I have my IV because I'm getting infusion every day. And what we're trying to do is break the cycle. Sickle cell disease is an illness which I explain it similar to a highway. You have your red blood cells, and it's the flow of traffic. And your veins are those exits on that highway. And what occurs is our cells are shaped different. So they are sticky and they start blocking the, the veins, and it makes the vein more restricted. So same as you have an exit that is backed up with traffic, that's the same thing that occurs with sickle cell anemia. The circulation now slow, it becomes slow. And because there is a block, there's no oxygen getting to that area. So basically, there's no oxygen getting to what you would say the other side of a traffic jam. And that emptiness causes pain because you're not receiving oxygen. There's no circulation. Your blood supply is not getting there. So I'm in a, hmm?
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I'm in a treatment of fluids to break that clotting, and it takes time. And it's an illness where you do endure pain. It comes at any given moment. So you can be feeling good one moment, and all of a sudden, it a pain kind of comes in very sharp. It A child once described it as elephant stomping on him, and it is a throbbing that sometimes takes our breath away. And I am 44 years of age, but I have 11 complications that stems from sickle cell disease, and I've had 13 surgeries. So
Wow.
from top to bottom, it's a numerous amount of complications because although we have a chronic illness, our body, it's the human body, and there are complications that occurs from those organs not receiving oxygen, and you deal with things that other persons deal with. You deal with arthritis. I have hip shoulder replacements. I have one joint that doesn't have a replacement. I have a knee that's currently collapsing, and that occurs because it's death of bone. The bone is also an organ, and it becomes very brittle. So it starts in the case of my knee, where I say that it's collapsing, is basically little fragments of bone are coming off, and eventually I'll need a knee replacement. I do not have a gallbladder. My spleen is the size of a nickel because the spleen is the filter of the body, and as sickle cells are a different shape, it's a constant filtration in the body. So the spleen is what's called sequestered, and it kind of disappears in itself because of the overuse with our body. So there are various complications, and with each complication, they might say, like I say, your character. I related to her in so many ways because I have a tendency of being stubborn. So, and I think Mr. and Mrs. Love will agree that maybe their child might overdo it. And it's because since we have so many days that we are laid down and hurting, when we have a good day, we have a tendency of taking advantage, and we overdo, and by overdoing it, then we take us back into an episode. But it's because we're trying to make the best out of that moment. And it is difficult. It's an up and down battle, but with support groups, reading your story, what was inspiring to me is that she has friends. She built friendships that understand her, that we're able to come together and do a cause for her, which is the best part of your book, which is your ending. Um, and I just feel that that is something that is very relatable, and it's beautiful to see. I would imagine a child reading this can say, I feel this way. This also happens to me. And she's still able to participate in activities. But then there's that time when she's in the hospital and her friends visit her. So you have that sense of community. And that is one thing that I enjoy truly about your story, because you take persons to a journey, and a journey that involves other characters as well. That it's not just her story, but it brings her to the story, and then she's able to participate in the different events that occurs in your book. And everyone kind of, you build a family, and that is the blessing of the bigger kids. And I thank you so much for you putting this out there, because we do need persons to know that we can also, play with children. We just have to probably take a seat back, get some rest, and we might not be able to participate in all events, but we're able to have a childhood, and it becomes a normalcy to us. And then the persons around you get to know how to be around you and help you, to guide you in that path. And I truly appreciate you bringing her character as well as showing diversity, because sickle cell does affect many persons, and it's around Italy, the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean, South America. So that is another joy that I had, that it also made me relate to her, is her Hispanic. And you see that she also has an external disability. So that also assists with persons knowing that although she has an external disability, she's still someone that is relatable to the girl next door. So I thank you, Miss Renee.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to come back to you with some questions, but I want to get the love story, and then we'll get into that conversation going back and forth.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Hilda, for all of that, just great information. And just to share our story, so Lily and I have an 8-year-old, and her name is Titan-based Love. And at birth, she was diagnosed with sickle cell SC. And basically, what SC is for example, I have the sickle cell trait, and Mr. Love has the hemoglobin C trait. And when mom and dad come together, there's always a 25% chance that baby will have SC. So, I remember the day I got the phone call when I was pregnant with Kylan, where the doctor said, there would be a 25% chance that she would have SC. And then I think when she was 7 days old, her pediatrician called and let us know that, she actually had the disease. So for us, one of the main things we like to share is, every person's journey is different with sickle cell. And we've noticed that, sickle cell SC is known to be, I guess, a mild version of sickle cell disease. But what we've learned is, again, everybody's journey is different. And our daughter, she actually has a large amount of pain crisis. And that's something that we have to deal with more often than we'd like to. So our goal with her is just to, teach her how to take care of herself, teach her the importance of drinking water, taking rest breaks, eating healthy, but most importantly, sharing with others about her disease, so that they know how to care for her and just be around her as a child. But Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just to piggyback off, what my wife just said, the myth of, her type of sickle cell is that, oh, they're okay, they can get through it, or, it's not as bad. But to my wife's point, we deal with a lot of pain crises and things like that. But for me, I do want to make the point that, as a black man, as a husband, as a father, I go to doctor visits, even from the beginning, like when my wife, asked me that I want to go and get blood work to see. I went and got blood work prior to my daughter being born. My wife was pregnant, and I've since then, I've made it a point to, to be at the doctor visits, to be present. So I just want to advocate for that, to just, the family members of people with sickle cell. Don't just put it on one person. Don't just put it on that family member that's strong. Don't just, allow, push the wife to go, or vice versa. Be present, be a unit, be strong. Is very important for me. I feel like, they're going to care that much more about my daughter, or take that much more care and attention to detail because I'm present. But that's just in the back of my mind. But one thing I also want to say is I just want to give flowers to Nilda, while she can smell them, because for us, in this sickle cell community, we started searching, once we found out, and once my daughter was born, we got involved with Sickle Cell Partners of the Carolinas. So I encourage everyone to find a support system, find a nonprofit that you can get involved with, because that's our connection to Nilda. So once Grandma Polly, I'll give you your roses too. Thank you for putting this together. Once Grandma Polly told us that Nilda was on board, and who Nilda is to us, as a sickle cell warrior, just the epitome of strength. Um, it was a no-brainer for us to come on and be vocal about it, because again, we don't share it a whole lot. We don't talk a whole lot about our daughter's condition, because she's, in our eyes, she's normal, and we don't want a pity party. We don't want people saying, oh, you know, this or that. So, we don't talk a whole lot about it, but we're on the front lines with people like Nilda and the rest of the people at Sickle Cell Partners, to make sure that we raise awareness and raise the funding for more research. So again, thank you both, and Nilda, keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you, and we love you.
Well, thank you. That was
I love you
just
too.
straight right up awesome. That was awesome. And Mr. Eddie, I gotta give it to you, man. We see the women all the time, and we hear from the women all the time. But to hear you say that you're involved, you're completely involved in your daughter's doctor's visits, her treatment, all of that good stuff, I'm taking my hat off to you, because a lot of times, men leave this stuff up to women, and we need more men on the front line. We need you guys out there, and we need you guys telling your story. And when you speak about that, the medical part of it, I'm going to bring all of you guys into this one, because I watched your video, Neil, the one that you talked about with the health treatment and how the medical field is set up relating to the death of George Floyd. You know how we have that disparity in that area. And I've heard many people say, and it's been in the news and everything else, with anything that's going on with us, our medical treatment are very much different from a lot of way other people are treated. So you want to start with that and tell us a little bit about that, Nilda, and then we'll go back to Miss Eddie and Miss Shapiro.
Yes. So last night I had gone live. I did a recording because I watched the trial, and there was a section in which I kept rewinding it. And I called a girlfriend of mine that has sickle cell as well. And I told her, as I was listening, the judge explain the instructions to the jury right before they went in to do their deliberations, I felt as if what he was telling the jury should be told to the person that is now going to see your care or take care of you, especially in the ER. Because there's a judgment on persons with sickle cell. We are labeled as addicts. We're labeled anything that involves to be a drug seeker. And it's unfortunate because when you're young, there are colorful rooms in the ER. Everything is happy. You have balloons, you have clowns, fishes. The walls are it makes you feel safe, so that there's no fear when you go to the hospital. And you're taught to attend to your pain when it is at a low level. Because when you arrive to the hospital and you're at a level 10, it is very difficult to start tapering down your pain. It takes longer time, it takes a lot more pain medication. However, what occurs is that, let's transition into adult. So, as an adult, the walls are white. There's no more of that colorful ambiance that you get in the children's ward. And now that you're attending to your pain early because you don't want it to get to a level 10, now you're being seen as a drug seeker. So there were specifics that the judge had stated that I said, this is exactly how the medical profession should approach us. And for instance, he had mentioned there were five that stuck out to me. And he had said, your notes are your aid to your memory, but not a substitute for it. That means something to me because not everyone is the same. So just because you have seen past patients and there has been a trend, we should not be treated alike, especially when we are in pain. We are coming to see you. We are coming for you to take us out of this crisis. We shouldn't have to explain what we have been through, because the problem with sickle cell is there's a lot of invisible pain. Because we have so many years where an area doesn't receive oxygen, that area is damaged and that pain is not seen. So it's very easy for you to probably see a scar, something that would tell you, okay, she's in pain because of this. But unfortunately, with sickle cell, a lot of the pain is unseen. He also said, listening to different perspectives may help you to better identify the possible effects of these hidden biases may have on decision making. Resist jumping to conclusions. He stated, you must not let bias, prejudice, passion, sympathy, or public opinion influence your decision. And the reason those are important to me is because each individual, as I had shared with persons, they deserve an individual assessment. Everyone's story is different, even though we have the same illness, has the same type of side effects. We all hurt differently. We all have built a different tolerance. We all have developed different complications. So when I saw the judge giving those instructions to the jury, I felt to myself very personal. And I said, this is exactly how someone should approach us, because we have so much medical malpractice. There is a gentleman that I believe it was in England that he passed away hurting. He did not receive the care. And there are persons that pass away from cardiac arrest just because the pain is expensive. When you have sickle cell pain, it is so hard to describe. Sometimes I say it's as if somebody is hammering your joints. When you were young and you played in monkey bars, and maybe this is something that a person can relate to, when you're playing or maybe you have fallen from a height, your air is taken away from you. Like you feel this pressure on your chest that doesn't allow you to breathe, and that occurs with sickle cell. So at the moment that you're going to the hospital and receiving care, sometimes the pain is so bad that you yourself do not know if you're going to make it. Recently, I had a pulmonary complication back in January, and I did not think I was going to make it. I felt my breath becoming less and less because I have a pulmonary complication as well that I have developed in my late 20s. And it feels as if you're trying to swim up to the surface and get air when you're underwater, but you never get to that surface. So it's hard for you to catch your breath. And as I was watching the trial, the realization is that sickle cell affects majority the minority. And we do not receive the same care and treatment as maybe other um, illnesses do. And it is because of that stigma. There is something that when we have a certain color, we are treated differently. And I think that it is 2021. I have been advocating for sickle cell after my cousin passed away. She passed away at the age of 20 from sickle cell. And that is when I started advocating for her as well as myself. And I count my blessings because I say every day additional that I had that was more than what she lived, I am grateful for. And I take advantage of those moments that I've been able to share with my family. But not, it's still the same story. It is still the same conversation. And we simply just want to go to a hospital and not have to explain ourselves and not have to be seen by someone that is simply there to receive pain medicine, because we're going to the hospital at the point that we can no longer manage our health at home. So we've tried everything we could at home. And therefore, it would be great to go to a hospital knowing that that is your safe haven and that you're going to be managed. All we want is to manage our pain so we can go back home. We don't want to go to the hospital. We want to spend as few days as we can. And unfortunately, it is these opinions that cause us to have the irate type of attitude. We might have an attitude towards someone, and it is because we shouldn't be there to fight about what we have and the illness, and we shouldn't have to explain why we have to receive a large milligram or dose of a medication. We shouldn't have to do that. And the only reason I can share this with you is because as I do have other complications, I have gone to the hospital for my other complications, and I have been given the option of receiving pain medication. And repeatedly, I have been asked, are you okay? Is there anything we can give you for pain? But if I would have gone insane that I'm there for sickle cell, I do not get offered the pain medication as I did for me having that other complication. So I've been on both ends, and I've seen it and witnessed it, and unfortunately have lived it myself.
Wow. Wow, Ms. Shapira, you as a mother, what are your experiences when it comes down to your daughter being treated? Do you find that she's treated different, or because she is a child, it doesn't matter with the skin color right now?
So I would say our visits to the doctor, and Kylan's been hospitalized 3 times since she's been born. But it's just like Nilda said, when we go to the doctor, we see the colorful walls, the blues, the clowns, and things like that. So they're not always, a good experience because you just have to go to get shots and blood work and things like that. But as Nilda speaks, I can only imagine what my daughter may have to deal with, as she gets older. We've got really good hematologists that we work with Children Levine's Hospital, and pretty good social workers. But overall, our experience thus far, again with her studies in pediatrics, has been good. So again, when I hear Nilda speak, I can only imagine if my daughter will also have to kind of go through that as she gets older.
And another thing I'll mention too, I talked about being visible, um, for the medical visits and things like that. It's also very important to be visible at the school. I actually took a job, before God pulled me in a different direction and had other plans for me, but I took a job around the corner from my daughter's elementary school. And the main reason was so that I can pop up at lunch, I can pop up, at any time and just go and visit my child, not just to check on her medical condition, but just to be visible in the school system, just to show the principals, the ladies in the office, the janitors, I mean, whoever, this is Kyla's dad, right? So handle her a different way. And there's other things you can talk to your counselor about that you can do for your child with sickle cell, like 504 plans and things like that you want to ask your principal and counselors about. But again, make yourself visible at the school if you have a family member or child dealing with sickle cell, because you want them to know how important it is for them to drink water, to continually hydrate themselves, take breaks. And it's a community thing. The more people that you have that are knowledgeable about, certain symptoms and things like that, the more the better of a chance my daughter has to, to get the medical attention she needs or help or support that she needs if something were to go wrong. So make sure you show your face. That's very, very important. And if you have family members, just get educated on sickle cell so that if you're babysitting, if you have to watch the kids or you find yourself around a person with sickle cell, you're not just ignorant about what it is and what they may need, if it were a situation where there was a pain crisis. Because again, you're gonna look at a person. You look at our baby girl. She's completely normal. She can run just as fast as the best of them. She can jump just as high. But we have to make sure that she's knowledgeable about her condition, and she'll tell you about sickle cell. She will educate you if you're in her presence. That's one
Yes,
thing.
yes. I had the privilege of meeting her several times. And I mean, she blew me away because I was just starting with the books then. And I can remember us being, was that Friendship? I get
Yeah,
confused between the churches over there. We were
correct.
over there at Friendship, and I was telling the Meet the Big Kid story. And I started talking about the crisis and Maria, and she raised her hand. And when she started talking, I was like, how old are you? And I think she was like 6 at the time. And I mean, she was just going through, the crisis, how you have to stay hydrated. If I'm in a classroom and it gets cold, I have to have my jacket. And I mean, this kid was educating me. And I take my hats off to you guys because you guys made that possible. You made her aware of her body, what's going on with her, and the things you guys helped her to understand the things that she goes through sometimes and some of the things that she can go through. And I think that's very important with anything that a child is dealing with. Because you leave them with me, hey, okay, y'all come on, let's go jump in the pool, let's go eat, this, that, whatever. And the average child is not going to tell you, I can't do that because they see the fun other people are having. So when we educate our children, then they are aware of the things that they can and cannot do. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Right.
That's absolutely correct. So the biggest thing that we work with our child on is mental strength, right? We make sure that
Mm-hmm.
she's mentally capable and mentally aware and socially aware, and she's intuitive. So those are the things that we work with our child on. Like the school stuff, that's a given. We're gonna teach you manners and respect, but we're teaching
Right.
her mental toughness. And now that she's about to be 9 in a couple months, it's really showing off, so that when she does become an adult and she faces some of those obstacles where mom and dad's not around, we want
Yeah.
her to be strong and know what to do and how to take care of herself. Like Milda again. But but yeah,
Self
We
care.
we have quite a
Self
bit
care
of
is the best.
I have quite a bit of people
Go
viewing
ahead,
and
Kenny.
asking questions about things and what sickle cell is. And I know it's, I did some research on it myself, as I don't know anyone personally other than T-Boss from
Correct.
TLC. I knew she had it, and
Correct.
I got to meet her, and she talked about it a little bit. But I have a Juana Andres. She was asking about stem cells. Does Can that be a cure of anything like that? In the world of sickle cell, do you guys have any information regarding that?
There's been some research, and I know Nilda will probably be a better resource for that topic. But I know there was some research, some gene therapy. Was it gene therapy research that was being done? But there's a halt on that research now due to some complications with patients and testing. But again, I'll defer to Nilda on that. But there was some things going on with stem cell research and gene therapy. But again, there's been a halt, a medical halt on some of that research. The last I heard, but
Yes. There was a medical halt, and I think it's been restarted because two patients developed cancer after gene therapy. However, stem cell is one of the cures of sickle cell anemia. However, this is why it's very important to advocate and reach out to our community in both aspects of a stem cell transfusion as well as blood transfusions. We do not have many persons from our community or our culture donating blood, which assists. It gives us a lifeline.
Which
Many
is a big
times
problem.
we need blood transfusions to, yes, and we have blood transfusions because that alleviates the crisis. Because what's occurring is our blood does not live very long in our body, so it breaks. And this is probably why you see many persons have their skin jaundice or their eyes yellow, because when that cell breaks, the bilirubin is being elevated. So you see the eyes tainted yellow. You may see the skin tones. Like you can tell when I'm not feeling well because you will reflect it in my eyes and you will reflect it in my skin. However, although stem cell is a cure, we do not have many persons registered, and it is a swab for persons that can give blood, and it is with the you can check with your local community blood bank. And if you can donate blood, the
What up,
Red
Tom?
Cross has a registry where you can actually list yourself to be a person donating towards a sickle cell patient. So the Red Cross does offer that, because the more blood we receive with the commonality, the less adverse reactions when it comes to antibodies. So many patients are on what's called chronic transfusion therapy, where they receive an exchange transfusion every month or every 3 months. It's a large amount of blood. And the most that you can get with that commonality of our culture, the better it is long term. Also, for stem cell, it's a swab on the cheek, and it is with bethematch.org, and they will register you. There are bone marrow transplant stem cell, it's not by blood type. It is 7 factors that need to match with the individual. And the more, again, the more persons from our community, the more the percentage of possibly finding a match. And now they're doing what's called mixed match um, transplant, which it can be from a parent, but it comes with its risk. The transplant has what's called graft versus host, which is when the body rejects the transplant. However, some persons that do develop graft versus host, they're still able to have a life that they are sickle cell free, but with that complication, and that complication may be life threatening if the body completely rejects the transplant, or it could be where the rejection happened in an organ, and then you will have to take medications to treat that complication lifelong. but you do live a life that is sickle cell free. So for the mixed match stem cell, if it comes from a parent, the person will become a sickle cell carrier. Because to have sickle cell anemia, it comes from both parents having the gene. And I wanted to commend, I call them the love couple, because they have raised their daughter to not live with sickle cell being the all of their daughter's life. There are many times that if we are consumed by what we are born with, we don't look forward to the next day, because it's a I can't do attitude or perception, but their daughter still goes to school, does her activities, is very active, and like you said, Mrs. Renee, intelligent. She knows her health, she knows her body. And as a person starts getting older with sickle cell, they know what their limits are. And I always tell persons, it is it is frightening to have a child that is born with an illness that is said to have no cure, and then there's a life limit. They always say that a person's not going to live certain a past age. My mother raised me to not think in that way, because we experienced death. I was young when I experienced death in my family, and it wasn't because of sickle cell. So I knew death is just part of our journey. Um, but saying that is basically to say that we will know our limitations. So if you have a child that is born with sickle cell, do not put them in the bubble. Let them do, and with time, they do know up to what they can do. If they're only able to run a half a mile, then that is what they will learn to do. And it is all little steps. It is just small steps, and the body will get adjusted. Same as when you start exercising and you start at 1 pound, you will get to the 15 pounds, but it just takes time. And it's a longer stretch when you have sickle cell anemia, but you can still do it. And it is all about adapting to who you are. So what we need is to definitely reach out to our communities, because we need more persons to register and more persons to donate, because it does provide a lifeline for persons with sickle cell anemia. It's a lot, right? It's sickle cell comes, yeah.
Yeah, when I first started this, and just talking to different people and doing research and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, when it comes down to us people of brown skin, when it comes down to us donating blood, there is a much higher match than if you was to get blood from a Caucasian. Is that true?
What
Did
was
you
the
hear me?
question?
Yeah. The question. When I partnered with Carolina Blood Center, they was saying that, well, one of the ladies there told me, she was like, I know it's hard for us to get our people to donate. I've done several blood drives and it's like pulling teeth. But if I was to donate blood, my blood would be able to serve more, like every time you donate blood, it could serve up to like 3 people, right?
Yes.
One person donating a paint of blood,
Yes, it can be save up to 3 lives.
save
And
up to three. It
yes,
can save up to 3 lives. But if there was that option between my blood and a Caucasian blood, my blood would suit you. It would be more of
best.
a match than it was coming from the Caucasian person.
Yes, because
Am I right or
even
wrong?
though we live in the United States, so we have an abundance of persons that donate, and that is the blessing that we do have here. However, when we are receiving from different cultures, even though we're the same blood type, we still build antibodies. So, for instance, in countries where my parents are from, which is Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, the 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 amount of antibodies that are built are not to the extent of what a person here built, because there you don't have the many antibodies from the person that is donating that blood. So it's not to say that we reject. As long as you are the same blood type, you can help someone that is if your blood types match. And the type O also is universal. So if you are type O, I would definitely suggest to donate, as it helps many persons, because O is a universal type. However, what it does is that it lessens the amount of rejection. And that is what occurs when you receive a blood transfusion that unfortunately the body has rejected. So that is why many times you might have someone that receives a blood transfusion and their blood drops, or they might have received the blood transfusion and they urinated their blood. So what is happening in that instance is that the blood is being rejected. So it did not benefit to the extent that it should have. And that is something that maybe you probably have known of someone that received the blood transfusion, and they probably say, I received the blood transfusion about 2 days ago and my blood level is back at 6. And that is what is occurring at that moment. So although you need the blood is being rejected by your body. So that is the reason why it is best to try and receive blood that comes from, the commonality of our backgrounds.
Got you. Okay. See, that was you broke it down for me that time. I got a better understanding of it.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
it. Kenny, you have any questions?
I'm just taking it all in. I'm fascinated really by the extent and how deep this really goes. I'm speechless really. And I'm a wordsmith, okay?
Oh yes, yes. You and Eddie will get along perfectly fine.
All
Um,
right then.
yeah, I mean, because he does some great things too. And I just want to thank you guys. I'm gonna let y'all wind it up. Tell us what y'all want to tell us. Mr. and Miss Love, y'all make sure y'all tell us about y'all business. Kenny, you gonna be blown away. Nilda, we know you that activist and everything else when it comes down to sickle cell. And I just thank you guys so much for coming. But before you guys speak, I all of my children are my Marias that have sickle cell. And this is what she looks like. Did I get it right on
Bring
the
it
camera,
down.
Kenny?
Bring it down. There she goes.
There we go. And she's feisty. She plays that flute. She loves music, but she will beat the heck out of somebody with those crutches.
Nilda. Wow.
Look at that.
Wow. You guys have really shed some
Amazing.
light on a lot of things that I've been clueless about, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners want to thank them for tuning in too. Wanda, Octavia, Michelle, all you guys, Sanders. It was a lot of knowledge in here today, a lot of helpful knowledge, and to say when you're not around something or it doesn't affect you, you just really don't know. But
That's right.
I'm loving you guys' energy. Nilda, you're amazing. Eddie and Shapira, you guys, your energy is just like wow, And how you say with the schools and everything, you just those things you would do anyway, but it's on another level now with that, and it's just like wow, just getting people involved and letting them know what to expect and what could happen, or if you see these things happening, being prepared and being proactive as opposed to reactive, I guess,
Yes, yes, yes.
So you
So,
guys have any final words? I know that I know you mentioned some websites or anything like that. If you want, I can re-edit this and put those in there when and re-post it to YouTube. But I would really like to get that information for people to have as well, if that's okay with you.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. I will share with you the the blood banks, bethematch.org. And one thing that I do have to mention to everyone, because as you have listened to our stories, living a life of sickle cell is not easy. And what I would say is please test yourself. The prevention is to be tested. So sickle cell occurs when the gene, so both parents have to have the gene. And there are different types of sickle cell. I have SS, which is pretty much at the top tier of what they say is, from most critical. But to me, it doesn't matter if you have sickle cell SS, SC, thalassemia. To me, pain is pain. And it affects our bodies in a lot of different ways, but it is very painful. It is not easy. Someone can make it look easy, but it is also a mental battle. So the conversation of mental, it has to be addressed. And that's one thing that I enjoyed about Mrs. Renee's dealing with bullying, because there's one part where the father sees a bulletin and it says, it's kind of like in regards to only crazy people. It's not only, it's crazy if you don't seek help when you're battling mental illness. And their depression does occur in our community. But what we need to also raise awareness is testing. And it's done by a test called the electrophoresis. The health department offers it for free. You can also check if your city has a sickle cell office in their region, and they will also do an electrophoresis. And that is for you to know if you carry the gene of sickle cell, because it's good to know, especially there are so many ways that right now with gene editing, they are, science is basically changing the gene that will make you not be born with sickle cell. So I know that's something that's in our future, but in order to prevent sickle cell from progressing and still having children that are born with sickle cell, definitely testing is number one. So aside from donating blood, registering for your bone marrow, I highly advise to test for sickle cell, as that is the ultimate prevention to actually not having sickle cell. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I would definitely say to connect with your local community organization. I am thankful to be with the Love Couple and Sickle Cell Partners of the Carolinas. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, we haven't met as we normally do, but we usually do activities and join, because it is important to have a big brother, big sister aspect, because it's very different to speak to your parents about what you're truly feeling. It's really hard to let your parents know what exactly your thoughts are. And to the level of pain, it's good to know someone that gets you. That is very important. And I just strongly advise to connect with persons. Social media is a good network too, to connect with persons that have sickle cell, because you're able to say, hey, I do this too, or you're able to give advice, like maybe a heating pad. Like right now, I'm talking to you all and I have leg warmers on because it helps me with bone pain. So it's little things that may help. And the number one free medicine for sickle cell is water. Hydration is like the cure all end all to this illness, because it's about giving flow to the circulation. So it's the one thing that is accessible to us regardless of where we live, and water is your best friend. So water, donation, registration, and testing for sickle cell. And thank you for this program. And I truly appreciate, Renee, your work, because you reach out to many persons, not only with sickle cell, but persons that come from different backgrounds, that deal with different adversities. And I am truly grateful, because it's like you say, you're a vessel and a blessing to us here. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us a voice.
Oh, I love you guys. Real quick, before we let Mr. Eddie go, my daughter posted. I remember when we were doing the blood drives, and it's the she came after she did the donation. They contacted her because she was a I believe they called it a hero. That's where you're a direct match
Mm-hmm.
to someone out there. So hey, y'all go out there, go give the blood, do the test. You don't know who life you may save,
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna talk long because y'all got me all excited. I want to hear from Mr. Eddie and Miss Shapiro.
Yeah, just everything that Nilda said. Just make sure you get tested, get educated, donate blood. Um, Pay close attention to your sickle cell friends and family members during the season changes. Just like now, we're headed into summer. You want to make sure that you just pay close attention to them because that's typically when our daughter has had some of her worst pain crises during the colder months. So again, as those seasons change, just make sure you're staying hydrated, heating pads, warm baths. Of course, you'll know what medicines they can take, but just keep everything on ready and be ready, be vigilant, and just be strong. But again, to the fathers and mothers and family members, be present. That's one of the best things you can do for your sickle cell family members and friends is be present. And my wife, did you want to add anything, Spare?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, as a parent, just make sure you have a good support system. You know, never be afraid to allow your child to really express how they feel, especially when it comes to their pain crisis. And just continue to teach and educate. I'm really big on learning, so I'm always trying to learn, okay, what's new with sickle cell? And then I'm, excited to share it with others because that's the only way that we'll grow and, fight this disease. So just, be present, have a good support system, and just be the best parent you can be.
All
Thank
right.
you guys. Thank you, the love. Thank you, Nilda. I mean, you guys are awesome. I believe you got great information went out today. Awesome information. Kenny, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. But remember, next week we're dealing with grandmothers who are raising grandchildren today. That's our
Grandparents.
topic next week.
Yeah.
Good.
This is awesome. I'm honored to have you guys here sharing your stories, enlightening us and bringing us the knowledge that when you don't know that you don't know, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, okay, give us really some food for thought and to think about and dwell on and think about the ways that we can contribute to this and eradicate it trustfully one day, you know? So I thank you
Hmm.
guys. Awesome, 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 awesome.
I just appreciate it. It was awesome. When I decided to do this topic, these two families were the only two families that came to mind. And I've met several other people. I was like, but I got to get you guys. And I appreciate it.
And we'd be honored to have you come back
And
on the
like,
show too to further enlighten us on how, the mountains you've been moving. Basically, that's what it is. You move mountains. And Nilda, you're
hmm
how many years? 40. You're
43, gonna be
wow. You
44 May 15. So it's
all
like I
right. You got a
said,
birthday coming up.
all this pain is
woo,
for me
woo.
to have a good 44, I'll take it. Like,
Yeah.
as it's like I said, it's it's like I said, you overdo it when you feel good because you do
Yeah.
have many sleep, a lot of sleep. There's days that I sleep and that's all I do. And my family knows I'm feeling better when I get an appetite. But 43 years, and it's like I said, I count every day as a blessing and a support group. That is definitely something that is needed. The umbilical cord between my mother and I has not been cut. Like even today, she's in a hallway waiting for me while I get the infusion. Because it's not
Mhm.
easy on parents, but it is about building the friendship, and even like Mr. Eddie, to have his presence as a father. You know, I come from a generation where we don't speak outside of our walls. And we do owe it to the younger generation that they say all now. And it's great because we are able to see that we have a connection and that we're relatable to others. But the support of not only your parents, but your family as a whole is really important when it comes to sickle cell and any illness, you know, any disability. It's a journey and it's a hard journey. So it's like Mr. Love said, be there for one another and check up on persons. If someone comes to mind and their name just comes to mind, just hit a message and just say, hey, are you okay? Because many of us do not speak when we're at our worst. And even though a person may look very popular on the social media inside, they could be very alone at home. So it's really important to connect with others, just in general, not just for an illness, but just an overall. So I can be very chatty. So
Oh no, you're awesome. You're
You're,
awesome.
you're
That
fine.
wisdom.
You're fine.
That's
But
that
Mr.
wisdom.
Eddie and Jabbar, I still need you guys to shout your business out.
Yeah,
My brother
well, I
needs to know
mean,
what you do.
we got some stuff coming up. And one thing I will say too, because my wife just got on me about this, we'll have a better camera set up next time we come back on. So we got some new equipment. We just haven't had a chance to
Awesome.
play with.
Awesome.
So I'll be-
Awesome.
No problem.
But yeah, so I
We
am
appreciate
I
you
am a
guys.
published. I was just saying I'm a published author and a coach and speaker. My wife is an entrepreneur and also has some we have some stuff coming up. We do have a podcast that we're going to be hosting together.
Oh,
So I'm
awesome.
very excited about that. Yep. So so a few other things going on. Anything you want to mention? All right.
Mr. Eddie, I would just want to say, in the world of cameras, they always say the best camera is the one you have with you. So,
That's right. We're here.
right?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna miss this. I wasn't gonna miss this for the world. But again, next time they're gonna say, "Man, he's got the new HD cam link." Oh yeah, we'll be ready. We'll be ready.
Well, we'd definitely love to have you guys back. Nilda, Eddie, and Shapira, you guys are awesome, man. Your stories are encouraging and so inspiring, uplifting, and that's what the world needs now. You know, when we think you have the hope with situations that we see around the world, and then something comes and kind of strips it. But hearing stories of inspiration like yours, you know, whenever someone is feeling whatever, they having a bad day or whatever, they can just think of some of the stories and the mountains that you moved and get that vigor from it and move the mountains themselves, you know. So hats off to you guys, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this and creating this magic. Yes.
Yes, love you guys.
Yes.
I'll have you guys back again.
Thank you, Grandma Polly.
All right, love you guys. Give my little Maria a hug for me.
Sure will.
All
All
right.
right, guys. Well, thank you.
And then you can always catch the show every Thursday, just letting people know. Every Thursday at 7, Grandma Polly will be having a different topic and different guests to discuss things and share conversations with. So, and I'm looking forward to when you guys come back, because I'm like, wow, you know, I'm really touched by your stories. Really touched.
Yep. Real
Thank you for
conversation
inviting
of the communities that we live in.
Touche. All right, guys.
And do I have to? And also to say thank you, because who thought 400 Easter baskets?
Oh.
Like, who does that? It's only Grandma Polly.
Grandma Polly. Woo.
Nilda, I don't want to see another plastic egg, real egg, or anything else until next Easter. There was actually 425 Easter baskets and 3,000 eggs that I hand stuffed myself.
No, I'm trying to talk her. I'm trying to talk her into using Memorial Day to talk about postpartum depression. You know, a lot of the vets that come back from overseas in the war, they come back and they're not the same. are shell shocked or whatever have you. But that would be a good segue into getting the word out about that as well too. Right, little sis?
Not great.
Yeah, I'm looking into it, but but seriously, no, that's a hard one. Like they'll come on and talk about sickle cell, but a lot of people don't want to come out in the open to say I have some issues going on.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking for them. I'm searching. I've reached out to a couple of people, but that's a stigmatization that we need to break. A lot of people don't want to come forward and say, hey, this is who I am.
Right. So we need to honor them, honor.
Yes.
And you honor people. Every person you see, you look at their forehead and you see the words, I'm special. And they are. That's how I look at it.
Word?
Absolutely.
I'm special. When you look at people, every person you meet, that's how you should look at everybody,
Yes.
All right, Grandma Polly.
I tell people, I'll go and talk to a counselor in a heartbeat. I put that one in the mud too, Nelda. The only crazy people out there is the people who don't know that they need help.
Oh.
That's right. Y'all need help with something.
When you don't know that you don't know.
I like that.
And denial that you need it, then that's where the real problem is. But if you go and seek help, you're a wise person.
Yeah, you are. That is true. That is true. I also want to give a shout out to the people that chatted with us tonight. Michelle Great, Wanda Andrees, Sanders Tisdale, Artavia, all these comments. Too many to name right now, but just wanted to give them a shout out too for taking time out of their day, as well as Nilda, Eddie, and Shapira for taking time out of their day and gracing and blessing us with their presence here tonight. So thank you guys for tuning in. Facebook, we love you. Renee, Grandma Polly, I love you. Nilda, I love you. Eddie, Shapira, I love you. Sending love, love, love. And you got the last name to represent it,
Champagne Lovers. The podcast is called Champagne Lovers.
Champagne Lovers? We definitely have to check that out.
Yes.
Keep us updated with that, because I definitely like to come and check it out, all right?
Yes, sir. Will do. Thank y'all.
you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Good night,
Love you.
guys.
Good night, everybody.
Here come the big rig kids, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go. Here come the big rig kids. Roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids. See how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Learn with the big rig kids, and you'll see how it is to have adventure days and hang and play with all your friends. Because the big rig kids know what it is to live a most exciting and inviting life is positive. Sapphire with the voice of wisdom keeps the story rolling, and by golly, Grandma Polly drives them all to where they're going. Hop on in, everybody. Let's go. Caden, he's the leader of the crew. He's smart and brave and true. Sasha, Caden's twin, she cares a lot but can be stubborn too. Caden loves a good book too. And then Sasha, she's a regular computer guru. These are the big rig kids. Roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids.